So, probably shouldn't touch this. I really wanted. I should not mess with the mic. Oh, it's so hot in here. So I wanted to make this little video series. Um, I've been like envisioning this for a long time to go with the EP. There's only 3 tracks on the EP, but each one kind of has a pretty power. What's the word? Profound meaning to me, and I always kind of thought it was cool when artists could explain like what that meant to them, and it's kind of become apparent like as I've listened to other people talk to me about the EP. I'm doing a terrible job of speaking English right now. I swear I can talk. But I've heard other people like talking to me about how certain songs meant certain things to them. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into today. I don't want this to be long or boring. It's your choice to watch it. This is just, I don't know, for me to document what this all means to me, but also for other people to feel less alone and to understand like what these things mean to me and then what it means to them, and just, I don't know, have it be a special thing that brings us together. So, yeah, I guess it's really hot. I'll start with kind of where the name Lola came from. So, actually, if you know the artist, I'm like crushing this. If you know the artist Russ, he has a song called What They Want. and he says the name Lola. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Anyways, so I was listening to that. Let me just start over because I'm struggling really hard. So the name Lola, I always liked that name. I never really felt the need for a stage name, but I was never that crazy about my name, but it did feel like it was me and like I identified with it. Until I got to a certain point where, I went to college, I started to learn, started to grow, and like just really become like more of myself, and that was awesome. And then I served a mission for my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so that was a year and a half that I was a full-time missionary in upstate New York, and I loved it. And that, like, I learned and grew a lot too. And I kind of feel like I was getting to an ending point of that person and that chapter, and I was starting something new. So when I came home, I had a lot of new, awesome things that I was developing, but I was also having a lot of challenges that I had been dealing with my whole life, and some that were starting for the first time that I was wanting to overcome and to not let hold me back. So actually, I kind of got the name because of an issue that I had been dealing with. So it's really been a while, like years, but it hasn't become apparent until the last couple years that I've been struggling with an eating disorder. And that was never something that I thought that I would have any part to do with, because I watched videos and heard girls talk about like bulimia and anorexia, and I was just like, that sucks. Like, that will never happen to me. I like food. That's like, I don't really have that bad of self-esteem, so like I'm never going to feel the need to like starve myself. But life just happens, and I feel like people don't really talk about that much, like, but I'm pretty open about the things that I experience because most likely like so many other people are dealing with it. So like when I was on the mission, especially, that's kind of where it like really started, to where habits got worse, because it starts young. It starts with the things that you're taught, the things that your friends say, the things that boys say around you, that kind of just like make you self-conscious about like what you eat and what you look like. And as much of it as like, yes, it's about like self-esteem and body issues, like that's like a tiny percentage. Like, I'm sure that anybody with an eating disorder can tell you, like, there's other crap going on in their life. And so for me, I mean, I was dealing with like the stress of a mission, but then also like I was finally after so long on my mission diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And so that was like something that was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders to admit to and to kind of get help with, but it also is just, it doesn't stop once you tell someone, just like an eating disorder. That doesn't just go away just because you're brave enough to talk about it. So all those things, like, the things with my family, like, not that many people know that, but I've had, like, a lot of family issues and, like, divorce, separation, those type of things. Depression, anxiety, all those things kind of just add up to be so much stress. And I think everybody has their different way of coping with things and with stress. And for me, like, I've had different coping mechanisms like that were awesome, like music and art and things like that, but I didn't realize it until the past couple years when it got worse, that like for me, I could control what I ate or didn't eat. I could control how much I exercised. I could control like what I put in my body when I didn't. So I could control if I was skinny. And to me, like that wasn't even a thing to as much like just to try to be skinny, but it was like one more thing that like I didn't have to worry about, because I like grew up for so long with like all these weird stigmas around like food and like fears around food that like kind of made me sick, because I have a lot of just like body issues, I guess, that like make me sensitive to certain foods. So to me, cutting that out was like great. That's like one less thing I need to worry about. But then I kind of got to the point where it was like slowly, but also like really quickly. This was like a rapid thing. Like this was for years that this was happening. But then when I came home from my mission, like the habits were getting worse, and it was like all of a sudden like I could barely stomach meals. Like I could not eat anything. Like I was just having struggles just eating regular food and like solid foods. And just like my thoughts were always kind of centered around that. And I'll get more into this. This is like a super long roundabout way of why this came back to this. I'll explain it more in the 21 video. But basically, I got set up with an eating disorder specialist and nutritionist and other doctors that helped me. And one of my specialists gave me this book to look up called My Life Without Ed. And it was this woman who talked about her eating disorder and compared it to an abusive boyfriend named Ed. So like ED, like eating disorder. She personified her eating disorder as this mean, abusive person in her life that was just like trying to kill her. And that was just, had no positive things to say about her, or like no positive hopes for her. And so I really took that into heart. And when I took that into account when I started going throughout my day, that I was just like, okay, well, I don't need to eat because of this and this. And I kind of had to like rewire my brain and be like, okay, that's like something that's totally not right. That's like so twisted and so messed up, and that's not nice to yourself. And so like there was a lot of like self-love that I had to learn, and I'm still learning. I mean, that's something that I think you learn for your whole life, and some people never learn. But I really like identified with that Ed character. And so I started to make this album. And during that time, I was thinking, like, should I have a stage name or what? Because I didn't really feel like I identified anymore with the name Jill. I mean, I still go by that. I don't tell people to, like, tell me something different or call me something different. But I had all these different names, and I was like, Sky, and, like, all these, like, super dumb kind of, like, or not dumb, but just these frou-frou names that, like, had nothing to do with me. And then I kind of just, like, thought about the name Lola, and I've liked that name for a long time. And so I thought that it was beautiful because it was a really strong, simple name, but it was really pretty and like could still be delicate and like feminine. And so to me, that's all the things that I wanted to embody. So I started to make a list of all the things that I wanted to change and who I wanted to become. And I put it with this name Lola. So I decided, like, I want to be more assertive. Like, I want to get what I want, and I don't want people to step on me anymore, because I'm just a nice person that honestly for most of my life has been just like trampled. And so I was like, I want to take care of myself. I want to love my body. I want to be a force for good. I want to not care what other people think, because I have my own personal style and my own interests, and like maybe that doesn't line up with the people at your church or wherever you're at, like with your friends, and they don't like that. But I had to be okay with myself. And so I wanted to be someone that like could love myself and be totally fine with it, but could be totally authentic. And so the more that I've started to like develop this person, this really has like this has become who I am, and that's who I wanted to be. Like Lola, I saw her, like I labeled the name Lola as like my best self. And so sometimes I think you have to fake it till you make it, and at times like I just had to think like, what would this like Lola person do? Like what would I want my best self to do? Like I would want to feed myself. I would want to take care of my body. I would want to love my body and not say hurtful things to myself. Like I would want to stand up for myself in situations where I was being taken advantage of. I would want to like feel deserving of the best for myself and not just like settle for crappy friendships or relationships or whatever it may be. So to me, Lola is like my best self, and this is like my most authentic self. And so that's been really like who I've been striving to be. And it's been awesome. Like, this past year has been really hard, and it's been really growing, with a lot of pain in there, but I like wouldn't take it back for the world, because the more that I've delved deeper into who I want to be and who I really am, then I do discover, like, who I am and what makes me happy. And it kind of, as you do that, it brings you closer to a lot of people. It also separates you from a lot of people, but the more that you are yourself, it's incredible. You feel really, really happy. Don't fully know where I'm going with this at this point right now. Now I feel like I'm kind of just rambling. But that answers the question. Lola, it roots from this self-change that I have been trying to have take place in my life. And I am just really happy about it, and happy to see where it goes next, and just to keep seeing it progress. Yeah.